So let's not waste much more time. You're going to kick things off tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready. All right, this is from a username, Jiko Aragoma. He posted a couple stories that happened to him and his family's cabin out in the woods, and this is one of his stories. When I was very young, I lived up in the densely forested mountains of the Northwest. In those days, my parents still lived together, and I saw my sisters frequently. There are many adventures we had up in those mountains. I recall many hikes, playing in the mud, and seeing a lot of deer. My father is a craftsman by trade, a real jack-of-all-trades kind of guy. At the time, we were planning to build a treehouse, but it was never developed beyond the main platform. We had several picnics up on that platform. I do recall one night climbing up there by myself. It was a summer night just before sunset. Wanted to watch the stars. I was fascinated by the constellation. As the sun sank below the distant peaks, the first stars came to light, and then the rest followed. It was truly a sight to behold. I sat out there for hours watching the stars drift slowly across the night sky. I was about to head down for the evening when I heard strange sounds out in the woods. I strained my eyes to see into the shaded brush between the trees. There was movement. It was slow moving, but it was moving towards me. I could also hear a strange sound, like a sort of whooshing rattle. All the hairs on my body stood at attention when I saw the creature. It was a lanky thing, crawling on all fours, its limbs bent in an unnatural way, as if it had no bones. It had wild and unkempt hair all over its body. Most terrifyingly, it had massive, shimmering eyes that scanned the area. I sat wide-eyed and shaking at this crawling thing. At that moment, in the house, a light came on. The thing was almost as if it was pulled back into the woods. At that point, I immediately ran inside. Can't live in those mountains anymore. A lot of good memories from those days, but I can never forget what I saw that night.
I don't think any of us can. Wow.
So that reminds me of a couple of the previous stories I had talked about like a month or so ago now, like the weird, lanky-looking deer creatures with like the spidery limbs and stuff.
Yeah. Okay, got questions coming in already. I wonder how they could tell it was crawling, and did they describe the face?
They didn't describe the face because I think it was a little too dark for him to see the face. He just described it as being very hairy, and it looked like it was like kind of like crab walking, I guess, from what he described it a little bit there towards him. And he could see the eyes, though. The eyes were glowing or appeared to catch all the light and reflect.
And of course, I am always multitasking here. So he was near a house when this happened, right? Because you mentioned the light.
He was actually, all right, so he had a platform for a, what's it called? Treehouse right next to his cabin that he lived at or they were vacationing at. So he was up on that platform and the house is right next to him, basically.
Why was he up there at that time again?
He wanted to watch the stars. And
that's right. Stargazing. That's when he picked up on some movement.
Yeah. Then he heard that weird shushing sound it made as it was going towards him.
Like a 3-pointer going in, or what kind of sush?
You know,
swishing or sush? What word?
Shushing, like, so it must be going like.
Gotcha. And it was, I'm sure, could he hear it stepping on stuff? I mean,
he did say that he kind of heard it like going through the brambles and stuff, I think, in that story. Someone suggested in comments towards him, they asked if you maybe looked up skinwalkers, and skinwalkers being a big thing. He said he did look up that. He wasn't certain that it was just by what he remembers seeing and what other people described skinwalker being. So this to me really seems more like that one creature, which was always on the western side of the country and the Northwest and stuff like that. So, yeah, this might be a different creature altogether.
He's looking down at it with vantage point, though. He's above it, and he sees it down on the ground.
Yeah, sees it coming out of the tree line towards him.
So there's a
seemingly.
tree line, then there's mountains off in the distance.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And he has an advantage point. He's looking down. He sees this thing coming. Does this thing see him, he thinks?
So he says he describes it as coming towards him. So he thinks it was definitely sees him.
Coming towards the stand he was in.
Yeah. But then once it sees that light, it kind of like pulls back.
So somebody
out.
inside, assuming a family member or somebody.
Probably go into the kitchen or something.
Yeah, flips on a light in the room, and then you said it's like as if he got pulled back physically into the tree line.
Yeah, like yanked back with such force, it's almost as if it was being pulled back.
You think that's something to do with somebody's asking? It's a good question. Could it have been a person?
Possibly, people are weird. They might crawl out of the woods like that. The only thing that is, obviously he was a younger kid. I don't know if he mentioned the exact age here, but he was definitely younger. And so maybe he's misremembering the glowing eyes, but he described them as being very large and glowing.
So it's amazing how people see so well in the dark. I'm wondering too if it was a person, but it seems like you would know. Why would a person come crawling? I guess they're trying to really sneak up to you.
Yeah.
But he said there was other things that stuck out about it though. It wasn't very human like.
Yeah, he said described the arms and legs bending as if there were no bones in them.
Yeah.
And that it had like straggly hair all over it.
So maybe they're almost like rolled up, like you can't really do with your bones. And he said hairy. Yeah, you just said that. You used the term hairy. Like hair everywhere?
I believe he described it as being all over the body. Let me double check that.
I like how we ask you all these questions that may or may not even, you would never even know because you didn't even.
Wild and unkempt hair all over its body, not just in the head.
All over its body. Maybe Bigfoot was crawling.
Like a really gangly, creepy Bigfoot.
You think the light could actually hurt it or we're just afraid of it? Makes me wonder.
That's a good question. I was assuming it was just afraid of there being more people. Like maybe this thing isn't particularly physically capable of overpowering an adult human, but maybe a small child it could take.
And the Skinwalker seemed like they wanted you to come to them.
Yeah, they would.
This thing was sneaking up on him.
Yeah, they usually try to get you to come into the woods.
Wow. That's pretty creepy, though. It's something you wouldn't forget, that's for sure. You're going to spend the rest of your life wondering, like, what the hell did I see, You'll probably never know. All right, see if we got any more comments. Okay, we're all caught up on anybody got any questions in? You better get in now because we're about to move on. But I think that, to me, it's definitely frightening. And I wonder when he went inside and he told them what he saw, what they thought. What would you say if somebody come in the house and they're like, this happened? They'd be like, you're full of it.
Well, if it's a little kid, you probably tell them, oh, you need to go to bed.
Yeah, you're sleepy, little baby. You wouldn't automatically.
Probably say it was an owl.
Yeah. The gray horn owl is just like in Kentucky with the alien sighting.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said probably think they were on something. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's crazy though. I wonder what time did he say it was?
Well, he said it was past dark because he had watched the stars come out.
Just past dark. Okay. Well, it's nighttime then.
Yeah, and it is during the summer, so it'd be later in the day.
Yeah, sun takes a while. Yep. So it's late, but who knows what time exactly? I don't know. I'll be curious. Didn't seem like it meets all the criteria of a skinwalker, though, from my expert opinion of hearing 3 stories from you of skinwalkers.
Yeah, like I said, to me, it sounds more like the other thing, which people just call a not deer.
Yeah, the not deer. That's the greatest story in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
It's not a deer. That's all you know, right? Could be anything else. We'll move on. That was a good one. That was a good way to start it off. Somebody said crazy stuff happens at 2 a.m. I always thought it was like 3 a.m. was that hour, Crazy stuff can happen at any time. I think that's what I'm learning from all these stories. And I've got one that shows you crazy stuff can happen at any time.
Jeff Townsend Media. CG, good night.
And the question is, do I stay here? Will you be back? Are you gonna come back? Will you be back? Are you coming back?